All right, joining us with more is Jim Stewart, New York Times columnist and a CNBC contributor. Jim, it's it's never a good time for a strike, but this seems like for all parties involved, it's just a bad time. I mean, they had some real bargaining power, writers, actors, everybody, when we thought that the fire hose of money for content was never going to end. It seems like we're 180 degrees from there now. Streaming's not making money. AI is going to replace a lot of jobs. It's like the worst time. Picked a bad day to stop sniffing glue, Jim.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, the writers and the actors have just come through a golden period when, as you said, the money spigot was just flowing. I think one of the ironies of this right now is that the striking workers have handed the companies a sort of short-term gift, which is lower costs. I mean, Wall Street has been clamoring for these companies to curb the spending on content. I mean, you have like a Netflix spending, in the $15 to $20 billion a year on content. There was this arms race of spending going on, which is the big reason why none of them was really making much money, with the exception of Netflix. And all of a sudden now, the spending has come to an abrupt halt, or a lot of it has. So I think you're going to see a short-term boost to the earnings here. But long-term, as Barry Diller pointed out, you're going to have trouble if they don't start refreshing the content, giving people what they need to see. You're going to see the subscriptions get cut. Because unlike the old TV model, with streaming, it is very easy to cut it off. Sounds
like the perennial worry of a mature business that starts harvesting instead of investing and growing. Streamers have a lot in the can, I think, and we've talked about that. It's a different model now. I see Friends. I'm at the gym. Friends is playing constantly every day, so they got that stuff. People can find stuff to watch, so I don't know how much leverage that gives people for absolutely new content, that suddenly viewers are just going to be craving new content. They're going to leave if they don't get it. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Have they figured that out, the people that are striking?
Well, I don't think anybody really knows. We're in this new world of streaming, and there are two big mysteries here. One is, how much are people really going to pay for this? And like the long-term model has always been, keep pumping out the content, raise prices. And we've seen already with the introduction of the ad model that there seems to be some price resistance out there. The other question is, how much of this new content do subscribers need before they start pulling the plug on this? And we haven't been in a situation without that. So we'll be seeing in the next few months, as that new content is failing to show up, how do consumers react? Do they cut this off? I mean, reruns are only going to take you so far. And I think especially you look at a Netflix, doesn't have a lot of sports to keep people interested. They really do depend on that new content. So my guess is that they are going to be under pressure.
Right, Jim, who do you think is going to be under the most pressure? You just said you thought Netflix would be. I'm under the impression that actually they may be in better shape because they have so much content that they haven't released yet that they still can actually release this fall and possibly into the winter and spring, whereas some of the other services, it gets more complicated for them more quickly.
Yeah, well, I think no question Netflix probably has a bigger backlog of material they can be rolling out, but that's just a question of time. Again, short term, I think they have an advantage, but I'm talking longer term. I think Netflix, because it does not have as much reality in sports, is going to depend more on fresh content coming onto the network. Conversely, you've got the old. Some people may be hesitating to cut the cable cord if they're really relying primarily on something like an ESPN for a lot of their entertainment. Warner has the NBA, the NCAA. They have some sports. They've got a lot of reality, so they're probably in a somewhat better position as well.
Jim, Becky made a really smart point in the 6 o'clock hour, and she's looking at me like, which point was that?
What are you talking about?
But how much do you think the media companies are concerned about eyeballs moving, frankly, from traditional TV or streaming even, simply to the TikToks of the world and the YouTubes of the world, that actually sort of the user-generated content of sorts becomes even more popular, and that actually is not just a temporary situation, but actually becomes a long-term situation?
No, they are worried. I've heard conversations about that. And, one thing that we've seen with the pandemic is that once consumer behavior changes, and in this case, they stop going to movie theaters, they change their viewing habits, they change what they watch. It's very hard to, like, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. It's not easy to get them back to their previous habits. And I think there is a risk here that we have more user-generated content than ever. It's cheap. And already that's one of the reasons I think that the streamers have faced some consumer resistance when you get up to the trying to raise these prices.
We were finally really excited about Barbieheimer Possible. The three of them all coming, AMC, people are going to go again. This is not good. We're still way down on new releases and ticket sales and everything else, but it was happening. It was coming back, Jim. This is like the worst time for that, too. And I don't think, actors need to take that into account, that they need these openings and they need this to be a vibrant business. And they're, I don't know, you could damage this again almost to where it can't be fixed. Yeah. Can you ask?
Yeah, I don't think they look at it so much from an economic perspective, based on many of my conversations with writers and actors. But they're upset, they're angry. Like a lot of people in the economy today, they feel they're being asked to do more for less money. Yeah. Like a journalist in that category.